Did you watch any Smackdown?
I did, and I want to commend my current cable company, Xfinity, because the fast forward function, once you DVR certain shows, it has, I think it's like Smart Stop, where you can press fast forward and it'll stop at the end of the commercial break. So you can see if you want to keep fast forwarding or watch what's there. So I got to skip past a lot of stuff, but I think I saw all the important stuff.
Well, see, I don't have what you call the smart fast forward. I've just got a fast forward button that I don't fucking press again until I see somebody that I might be interested in. So this thing's going by at a high rate of speed. This was SmackDown for March 25th, and the reason, obviously, we can include this today is because we're recording on Saturday for once. Well, once in a great while we do this, but because of all the various other scheduling issues, so we get the SmackDown in. They've got a week to go to 2 nights in a stadium that seats, well, however many it seats that they're going to claim they have 80,000 people in each night or more. And did the only interaction between anybody on this program that's going to draw any money, sell any tickets, or have any interest, this was like a 2-hour Zoom call, wasn't it? Where all the opponents just appeared on a screen. Sometimes they'd switch places. Guy in the ring, the guy backstage on the screen with the guy in the ring goes backstage. But wait a minute, the guy backstage now's in the ring. And the guy in the ring is on the screen backstage.
When it just suddenly, without warning, goes to a recap package. You're like, wait, I think I was watching a live show. What just happened?
Yes,
this is like 5 minutes.
That's good. That's when Ronda Rousey came to the ring and then went to a commercial break. And when they came back, 5 minutes of package and shit. Where was Ronda? And then they come back and there she's in the ring and their music's playing. Like that it just happened seconds before. It had been like 7 minutes since she walked out there. And you know they just had her walk down the aisle and then they either sent her back and sent her back out, or they had her sit there at ringside for 5 minutes like a goddamn lump on a log. But yeah, things just, it was a Zoom call. Lots of angry words were exchanged over modern technology. It started out with the package of last week's forklift incident with Brock and Roman Reigns, and they're supposed to both be here live tonight, right? That's the selling point of SmackDown. After everything that's happened between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns over the last couple of weeks, they're going to both be here live tonight. And the first thing that we see is old Cowboy Brock standing in a kind of a stilted position outside Roman Reigns' locker room so you can see the name on the door. And he acquiesces to be interviewed by, what's girl backstage interviewer's name?
Kayla Braxton.
Okay.
She's good. I got to say, she's good at what she does.
Well, but again, the last time we saw this fucking lunatic maniac, he's driving a forklift into a SUV, and now he's just standing there wearing a cowboy hat, smiling and being interviewed outside the locker room. But he's got fish to fry, Brock does, and she says that he shouldn't be there because he can't have contact, according to the management, with Roman Reigns unless he's provoked. So Brock goes into Roman Reigns' locker room to wait for a good provoking and puts his feet up on the coffee table and breaks the table, and he's there in Roman Reigns' locker room. And that's the way we start the program. Okay, shit's going to go on. Roman Reigns ain't going to like this.
Although, if I have to be honest, my first thought was, he's breaking shit. It's the building stuff. It's not Roman Reigns' stuff. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to be there for an hour.
You're thinking too deep. It's the craft services catering, and it's the arena's coffee table and desk lamp and etc. And it's, again, we go back to the catering's champagne, but nevertheless, Roman Reigns doesn't want to be disrespected, right? And these buildings, by the way, they will charge you for that stuff. Every time we left the Knoxville Civic Coliseum back in the Smoky Mountain days, the next show they would charge us for a chair if we broke it. But anyway, so after Brock puts his feet up in Roman Reigns' locker room, they start the show, and we go back to bad, boring, fake, and emotionless, passionless wrestling for 45 minutes. They're on live television. Okay, I can buy that maybe they might be a couple minutes late, even though back in the old days, talent call for a WWE television was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But they're on the air live for 45 minutes, and suddenly pops up on the screen Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. They're in their limo. They're not at the building yet. They've been driving around New York City all day, went to Del Frisco's, taking care of some business. They must not have been worried about New York City traffic, because either they were drastically late getting to the arena because of the New York traffic, or they're just cutting it really close. And what, Brian, you know, a traffic jam up there, you could be sitting somewhere same block for 2 hours. They seemed relaxed for a situation like that.
Absolutely.
And also, they happened to have a camera hooked up for a live remote in a limousine.
Who does?
That was fortuitous. This was not like a fucking Skype call on their cell phone. This was a professional video signal from allegedly the back of a vehicle that's somewhere in New York, which requires a satellite uplink to feed to the truck at the origination point of the live telecast so that they can feed that self-same video signal back to the goddamn Titantron so the people can see it. And they said, well, boy, when we get there, whenever that may be, Brock, you need to get out of my locker room. I'm going to put your head through the wall. And we come out of that. Again, I understand not actually coming out and having the fight that you want people to pay for. But is it in any way believable or legitimate that the stars of this live television program emanating from a major arena in the New York metropolitan area wouldn't be in the building an hour after the fucking show started? I'm just asking. And speaking of baby faces, by the way, after that interview, Brock is still in the locker room and he's running out of stuff to break because I think he broke the lamp and a bottle and something else. But then they did another 40 minutes of bad, boring, fake wrestling. And you mentioned during that 40 minutes, Rhea Ripley was in a 6-girl tag. Stand Rhea Ripley next to Ronda Rousey. Get a good picture of both of them standing there together and tell me, except for the name recognition for her past accomplishments, who needs to be the movie star and who needs to go back to farming chickens. Finally, at the end of the program, Roman Reigns' limo pulls in the back and out gets Heyman, and he's shitting himself because he's worried, and out gets Roman. Paulie says, I'm feeling a little ill. And they go to the break. There are 15 minutes left in this live network television program, and the star of the show just pulled in the back. I mean, try. Give us some, even if it was against their will that they were delayed by traffic in New York, people would believe that. But just give us something. You're doing an angle that everybody's seeing ahead of time coming a mile away because you've done it a million times, or versions of it or variations of it. Everybody shows up late. Everybody gets in a goddamn pickle, but whatever the case. So with 15 minutes left into the show, finally, here comes Roman Reigns' entrance, and then there's the entrance, and there's 5 minutes of crowd milking. Like I said, we used to have to get there to 1 in the afternoon. One time, I ate 3 meals in an arena with the WWF. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But he can just show up anytime. So Reigns gets in the ring and says if Brock is still in his locker room, and once again, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are the two biggest stars in the wrestling business today. Two biggest box office attractions. And Paul Heyman is a goddamn genius orator and the greatest, not just promo, the greatest actor of his generation. I love all these people, but this whole premise was stupid. If Brock is still in Roman Reigns' locker room, he's going to come back and smash him. You just passed your locker room on the way to come out to the fucking ring. You could have checked. Then they have a shot of the locker room, which has been trashed, but Brock's not in it. Oh, wait. A Zoom call, Brock is on the screen in the back smashing Roman Reigns' SUV with a pickaxe. We've seen this on every promotions television multiple times now. Why don't you get a rental from fucking Budget?
Hey, why isn't it a rental? If he's in New York, he doesn't live in New York.
Well, obviously it is a rental, which again, in the territory days, when you would do an angle where you would trash some guy's car, the fans knew it was the guy's car because the guy drove the car to the matches every week, right? Or maybe he just won it in the tournament that they had right in front of him, and then they smashed the windshield or whatever. But now the obviously rented car service, it's fucking Joe's Discount Car Service's problem. But there's Brock bashing the shit out of the SUV. Roman Reigns, hey, no problem, I got 4 of them. Are they all 4 in Pensacola where you live? Wasn't that a long drive to bring one of them? Blah, blah, blah. Then Brock starts walking. And Brock comes in from the crowd. And while Reigns and Heyman are looking down the entranceway, Brock comes in from behind from the crowd, but Paul sees him. Oh my God. Brock stands up on the desk. So everybody in the building, this is a great visual. Brock's on the desk, Reigns and Heyman in the ring. Here comes security running out. Brock goes and gets a chair, and security tries to get in between him and the ring, and Brock beats the shit out of all those security guys with chair shots while Reigns and Paul take off and Brock clears out ringside. And then when Brock clears off ringside, Roman Reigns is on the screen again with a final word. Well, Brock, God damn it, they just kept changing places all fucking night. I don't know if this was the equivalent of Steve Austin in the beer truck, of getting people to talk about a subject or a big match or an issue or whatever. Do you?
I said it the other day, and I saw very little pushback. There, to me, is such little buzz about WrestleMania, and they've done such a poor job of building up everything, besides telling us it's the most stupendous and the biggest match of all time. It doesn't feel like that in any way. And the build-up is part of the reason. You're right. Charlotte shows up on that video screen from some studio to confront Ronda in the ring. And then Brock and Roman. There were so many different... There was a camera phone. There was a camera backstage. I mean, they were on so many different formats. And just back and forth. And this isn't how I would build up matches.
You know, it used to be that the main event at WrestleMania was a masterpiece. It had been carefully crafted. And then finally, when the artists got in the ring, they would paint on that canvas a complete masterpiece that could be enjoyed for generations to come. Now they're just plopping it out there on a plate. It's not like a masterpiece at all. It's not like a masterwork, Brian. It's not a masterwork.
No, it's not a good work at all.
It's not a good work at all, but you know where you can get the Masterworks. Because, folks, in this uncertain financial environment that we live in, you never know what's going to be worth what. You know, gas right now, $4.50 a gallon. It was $4.50 a gallon 15 years ago. In between that, it was $1.50 a gallon. Look at what happens to the stock market. Stock market goes up and down based on all kinds of current events. Things that happen all over the world have an influence on everything. And one thing, collector's plates. Those Franklin Mint collector's plates, son of a gun, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Some of those do go down in value. But one thing that never depreciates, it only appreciates, and that's fine art, the Masterworks. Fine, classic artists and precious blue chip art and masterpieces. That never goes down. There's always some rich asshole that wants one of those, right? And
Always.
if you had there's always a rich asshole that wants something of something. And if you had one of those Picassos or Monettes or Basquiat's,
Monet, Basquiat.
or Rembrandt.
There you go.
All right, well, there you go. Or Van Gogh. Or any of those fine artists, or Michelangelo,
Close enough.
or his little sidekick David. Regardless of what Masterworks,
What about David's little sidekick?
well, and David's little sidekick, Master P. Masterworks let normal guys like you and me diversify our portfolios. It doesn't have to be just stocks. It doesn't have to be just bonds, just precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, uranium. I've got a lot of uranium at home. But Masterworks lets you diversify your portfolios with blue chip art from the masters. The ultra wealthy have done it for centuries. And it's no wonder blue chip art prices outpaced the S&P 500 by 164% for the last 25 years. That means if you had got your mother, Brian, to buy you the Mona Lisa 40 years ago when you were just a small young child, it'd be worth at least 200% more now.
It certainly has gone up in value, of course.
Yeah, but she wouldn't do it when she had the chance, just like my mom in that Action Comics #1.
I knew it. I knew you were going to bring it back to that. Somehow I knew it.
We've both learned our lessons. Folks, you can join the over 330,000 members of Masterworks and get priority access to Masterworks with my unique link. Go to masterworks.art/Jim. That's masterworks.art/Jim. And you can find out how to invest and diversify into this fine art and exactly how to do it. Learn from the experts, and you can see important disclosures at masterworks.io/disclaimer, because the only thing more important than disclosures are disclaimers. And at Masterworks, you get both of them. Masterworks.art/Jim.